Tap in, join in. Whew. I need to go grab something to eat, huh? Greetings, family, greetings. Greetings, family, greetings. Blessings and opportunities, man. What's happening with the family one time? Let me grab my other charger real quick. I don't want the phone to die while we talking. Here we go. People, I am in Ghana right now. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I wasn't expecting the energy that I'm receiving. I was not. I go into most situations fairly neutral and fairly stoic about all things. And I must say, this has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. Let me tell y'all about my day, first of all. So, I'm in Ghana right now, Accra, Ghana. And before I even go, I need y'all to, because I want to bring some people with me. Let me see, 201. I'm going to put up my text. If anybody know my text number on Superphone, put it in the chat so I can pin it. So, my brother Memphis Depay invited me on this trip to Ghana. And, first night we arrived, he introduced me to the good brother Freedom, the Prince, and my brother Brandon Marshall was out here and a bunch of other people. But, we missed a few days. But the first day that we got here, the first thing to go do was to go to, the slave castle right there in Ghana on the coast. And I've heard people's stories about going to the slave castle, and I didn't really believe that it was going to hit me emotional, right, in a way that it did. And it just, first I felt so much anger walking up to this place. And I want to be putting stuff behind the scenes for my subscribers and things of that nature. And we're putting together a whole documentary. We're going to have a Patreon and stuff. But when I walked in there, I felt nothing but anger at first. That was the only emotion. It just felt so strange walking there. And I know the stories. They say, well, every black American does not have a descendants of slavery. That part to me doesn't even matter. That's beside the point. The fact that it is that there are some and that there are many who did suffer during the slave trade. And when I walked in there and the brother was, telling us and showing us the different doors, there was a door for when white men got drunk and they raped the women, and they would put them in this ventilated chamber where it got air and everything. And then there was a door for the brothers who were the warriors. These are the brothers who would fight back, right, and try to escape. And they had a room for them, right, and they had a skull and bones over it. And there was no ventilation in this room, right, hot, stuffy, meant to try to break your will, right? It's the equivalent of today, they put people in a hole, right, in jail and prison. So I'm already angry, and I already know the story, right? But there was a feeling when we walked towards the male slave chambers and the female slave chambers. And we walked in, and they call it the point of no return. And even as I'm thinking about it now, I'm getting, emotional, to be honest with you. But as you walk down this one step, and they tell you to watch your footing, because the ground is uneven, and you walk in the kind of like dark cave, and it goes into this square back room, and the back room, has this small slit door, and this door is what they would push the slaves onto, going into the boat, and this was supposed to be the point of no return. But when I walked in that room, it just It overwhelmed me. It overwhelmed me. And I couldn't even find the words. I couldn't even find the words, but I just felt all of the pain. I felt the hopelessness. I felt the fight. I felt the anger. I felt the suffering, all in that room in one. And it just took me to a place. And it just reminded, how great we are, because of the wars that we've been through, the fights that we've been through, the process that we've been through. We've decided to be willful. We've decided to be invincible, right? We've decided to be unbreakable, right? And I had to think about that point of no return that many men and many women had to go through. And today, the point of no return is not the same as it was back in those days. Today, the point of no return is when you lose your will and you lose control of your mind and you lose your morals. And once that happens, there is no returning. And so for this generation, we may not have the physical pain. We may not have a physical bondage that's being pushed into some room, but a lot of people go through that darkness. And a lot of people go through that darkness and they never make it back out. I have family members. I see people go through it all of the time. And so it's like the energy that I took from it, after I got from that, I had to roar. I had to let the energy out, because I didn't want my ancestors, to feel and experience the pain again that I felt experiencing their pain. So in that moment, I had to find a warrior, to find a conqueror, and I had to be confident as I walked out, because they didn't get to walk out. And as I walked in there and I was able to walk out, I took my ancestors with me. You know what I'm saying? I took the spirit, I took some energy with me, and I told them they free. And as we walked around that castle, I had to do that in many different rooms because it just felt so daunting. The energy was haunting, right? And it's like, when I look at a lot of those different things, you have to reverse the process of what's been done, right? Because they said the point of no return, but in reality, we did return. We returned back greater. We returned back with knowledge of self. We returned back more powerful. We returned back as gods. And I had to let them know that we made it. I had to let them know that we did more than survive. We thrived. I had to let them know that, listen, everything that you went through had a purpose, right? And that was the point of that energy. They didn't know it, and some people don't know what your suffering is for today. But if you knew what your suffering is for, it would ease your pain, right? Because you would know that it's all part of a grand design. It's all part of something better. And it's beautiful, So I take the pain that any melanated persons across this planet Earth and throughout time has suffered, and they didn't know to what end cause, they didn't know to what end result. But when you exist and you walk in your almighty, and you walk in your power, and you walk in your path with your head up, and you accomplish, right? You become the reason, right, that their suffering did not go in vain. So that's how I walk now. I walk to make sure that ain't not one ancestor suffered in vain. Everything was for a reason. That every lesson that they went through, it was for us. It was for this generation. This beautiful generation to just go and just accomplish and to build and to create our own world and to say thank you, because you went through terrible, unimaginable evil so that we can do amazing, great goods. So now we have to live a life where we have a construction of good works. It's not enough to be, I praise this, I praise Allah, I praise Jesus, I praise Buddha, I praise whatever you pray, Yahweh, you have to have good works. You have means that you actually have to build something out. You have to show something tangible, something resulting from your belief, from your consciousness, from the light that you have. Something has to be built out. You in turn have to create impact. Impact that can't be overshadowed. Impact that can't be destroyed. That's a person that's living in enlightenment. That's a person that's living in honor of those who came before them. Good works. But if you don't have any good works, and all you have is faith, and all you have is your belief system, and all you have is your knowledge, then you're still in the dark because you don't know how to activate it. And many people trying to activate it today. Many people trying to activate it today. Man, we so powerful. After we left that castle, I made a promise to my ancestors to continue to walk and to make the vision bigger and to grow it. We went to go visit these children at a blind and deaf school. And that lifted my spirits right back up. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, I left with such a daunting, everybody in the car was silent because nobody could put it in words what we just felt and what that meant. It was heavy on our spirit. And we walked up to the gates and these children were just dancing and the brothers and sisters were beating the drums and they were just smiling with joy. Right? And they lifted our spirits right back into its place. And you talking about children who are literally blind and deaf, but they were just dancing to the vibration of the music. They couldn't hear the sound waves, but they felt the vibration. And they just danced for 30, 40 minutes straight. And we sat down and then they grabbed us out the crowd and we danced with them a little bit. And they had a whole itinerary for my brother Memphis to pay. He has a school out there that he helps sponsor these children. Otherwise, they would just be in abhorrent conditions, right? And, you realize a lot of different things, right? It's like you can go there and think that you have all of the knowledge and wisdom to teach those children. Man, they're the ones that have all of the wisdom to teach you. I sat there and those children had a joy that I rarely see in people who have millions of dollars. I rarely see in people who have big houses, right? People who could travel the world. They did not have the type of joy that their children had. And those children didn't even have all of their senses. When you think about wealth, many people think about wealth as like money. But that wealth of joy is so powerful. That wealth of peace is so powerful. That wealth of gratefulness is so powerful. That feeling is worth everything. It's worth everything. It's worth everything. And unfortunately, so many people trade their peace and their joy for money. And they rob themselves. Because I was thinking about this quote. It say the devil can never rob you of your joy. You can only voluntarily exchange it for something that doesn't bring you joy. Meaning that he can't take it from you, but he can do something to where you'll give him your joy. You'll give him your gratefulness. You'll give him your peace. And then you'll focus on whatever he got going on. And it's like so many people have spiritual billions, right? They got a level of happiness and joy that we don't even know to appreciate. We travel down these roads and these people, they live in third world conditions. Probably some people never experienced AC before, but they smell more than a person that lives in a large apartment penthouse. You know, they just is dancing to the music. We played different. The children were blind, so we played games with them, and we had to blindfold ourselves. We had to roll the ball, and it was kind of like playing soccer. And we got on their level, and it was the simplest joy that I've experienced in my life in a very long time. And I've accomplished a lot of different things. I've spoken in front of 20s of thousands of people. I've made money. I've had hit shows. I've traveled the world. I've been known by some of my people that I looked up to for my whole life, and nothing had brought me joy. Like being on the floor, you know, blindfolded, playing this game with these blind children. And it just reminds us, like, damn, you think that we chase this Western concept of success, and it's so far from what true success is. And the more you chase that, the more it robs you of true success. Because every day people trade in their peace and their joy for money. And they get the money, and then they try to use the money to try to find peace and joy once again. And it's like the simplicity in life, there's a stillness that exists there, to where it was like we was able to just block out the whole world. I mean, I'm there with multimillionaires, top 50 athletes, NFL players, traders, skilled traders of the world. And we there playing with these children. They're blind, they're deaf, they have nothing but the greatest joy all day. Be dancing with them. And I could just see everybody's face. And it was like, we got to recess from the jail that is America. Not because of the land of America, but the ideas that we fight for in America. And so it took me back to that point of no return, right? Because in that point of no return, I was thinking about it, and it's like when when we went to America, America never represented freedom for us. It represented a cell, right? And so that feeling still exists. When you go over there, the ideas are not made for you. They're not made for you to smile. Nothing about America wants you to smile. Nothing about America wants you to be at peace. Nothing about America wants you to be at rest. They're going to constantly, hey, the education system no longer will give you a hand up. It wants you to constantly feel like the world is against you. It wants you to constantly feel like you're constantly attacked. You're constantly targeted, right? It never wants you to say, you know what? We don't care. None of that matters. I'm good. The simplest idea in the whole entire world to say, fuck that TV. Shit you put on social media, the news, the outlets. None of that matters to me. I'm good. And then you just smile and you go about your day and you just build. You know what? I know what y'all trying to do. They don't want to let us in college. I'm good. I'll just learn on my own. If we got to that point where we circumnavigated the devil that's trying to get us to voluntarily give away our joy and our peace, right? Because we take the peace that we have and we trade it for the attention that we give to the devil, his ploys and his plots and his projects and his institutions and his ideas and his systems. Instead, we say, you know what? I don't want none of that. I'm going to keep what I got. I'm going to keep what I got. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what I have is more important and more valuable than anything that you're trying to take me away from. Those children may not have all of the senses that we have. Some may be blind. But light is not only seen, it's felt. When you walk out into the sun, you feel light. When someone does good for you, you feel their light. When someone speaks the truth to you, you feel their light. You can hear light. And so we think that those children may be handicapped because they don't have a sense that we have. But when God takes away one sense, he increases another. And so we may never experience light in the manner that a blind person does because we only using our eyes to sense it. It's like when you look at somebody and you look at them and you love them for what you see versus what their light is, something that you feel. Same thing with those children that they couldn't hear, but they could feel the vibration of the sound through their body. And it made them focus on the vibrations around them, whether those vibrations were good or bad. So just because they couldn't hear sound does not mean that they're unable to listen. The ability to listen has nothing to do with sound. We can listen to vibrations. We can listen with our eyes. We can listen in so many ways because people have ears but don't listen. People have eyes but no vision. All of the time. That place of gratefulness, how you win wars. That place of gratefulness is truly how you win wars. And you find a peace. And that trauma that was set off from the moment that we left those shores, and for some of us that may have Native American roots, that trauma that set off when those evil, vile people reached the shores, because you have two different wars that one took place. When those slave masters and slave traders came to the shores of North America, there was already melanated people here. And when those melanated Native American people, who some of you all may be descendants of, their hell began to where that was the point of no return. Their point of no return is when they seen those evil white slave traders. Because I thought about, as much as I'm feeling this energy, that this energy is so evil of what they felt, what those slave traders were doing, and their lack of feeling was the true evil that was in that place. And imagine that being your ancestor. Imagine that's what you have to rewrite in your DNA. So the gratefulness that you don't come from that stock, you got to be grateful. And that's why when we look at this melanin, we grateful that we don't come from that kind of evil. Because even the Africans that had something to do with the slave trade, they was nothing like the devils that they sold us to. That's a different kind of evil. So you get to be grateful that you don't have to rewrite and erase that DNA that exists in you. Some of us do. Some of us don't. So we get to reset it for our generation so that the next generation has better codes of DNA in them. And the only way you find that is by living in truth. It's the only way you find that. That's my message for you all. Follow the stories. I want to take a group to Ghana, possibly by the end of this year. There's a lot I'm going to experience while I'm here, and it's so necessary for you all to experience it as well. We're going to curate this group. Everybody can't go. We need the right people. We need the right vibes. We need the people that's ready. I believe that there's certain things before you can say you're a part of the culture you should experience. This is one of them. We're going to take things to another level. I'm ignoring anything that don't serve and don't call me God. If it ain't out there calling me God, it ain't out there calling me power. Like, that's another thing I just learned. Like, royalty is not something you're born into. It's something you claim. There are so many things that were stripped from us, so many titles that have been missing. And everything that was lost, when you go to a lost and found, you have to do what? You have to claim it. And a lot of people ain't claiming what's in them. It's waiting for you, but you got to claim it. You waiting for it to be given. Freedom can't be given. Royalty can't be given. It has to be claimed. And when you claim it, you take ownership and you possess it. And now that it's in your possession, you can wield it. And when you're able to wield it, you're able to utilize the power that comes from it. Ain't nobody had to tell me I can put on a crown. Nobody tell me I put on the sash. Nobody tell me I walk around call myself a thought leader. Nobody tell me that I could free myself. I claimed it for myself because I knew it was there waiting for me. Make sure y'all text this number right here. I'm going to give y'all a second to text that number. If you want to join on, and this is an international number, when it's time for the Ghana trip, I will send it. This is your way to RSVP. It's time for us to claim everything. Everything. We want the deeds to everything. It's all ours. Juneteenth has some power because it reminds us. But nobody, and I mean this seriously, nobody can tell you you free. It is only up to you to claim it. No one can tell you that you are free. It is up to you to claim it. No one can make you special. No one can make you great. No one can give you talents, gifts, and skills. No one can make you royal. No one can make you godly. No one can change your circumstances but you. It is something you have to claim. Claim it. Yo, BWO students, because I'm in Ghana, time schedule is off. We're going to talk about how to claim your power in the next session. I'm going to take all the lessons that I got from this, and I'm going to pour deeply into the students. Class is in session, y'all. Peace.